जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह. What the Sikh Federation has done, it's one of the smartest and good work that they have achieved in bringing the members of parliament closer to the Sikh nationals. I have very little time, but in those few minutes, I wish to state that the experience of Operation Blue Star with the Indian military, and not without British and Soviet support, demolished one of our holiest edifices in 1984. And subsequent to that was followed Operation Woodrose, in which Sikhs were lifted from every nook and corner of every village and sent into sort of concentration camps where there was no access to them of a lawyer or their families. It is one of the worst experiences that we have gone through. And we have always prayed that justice be done to the Sikhs, and the scalawags who are involved in this genocide be put before the International Criminal Court at The Hague. That has always been our dream. Apart from that, the Sikhs need international recognition, which you honorable members have so gracefully done. And we appreciate all that has been done for the Sikhs, especially the Labour Party, but I wouldn't praise the Labour Party for what it did in 1947 when India was partitioned between the Muslims and the Hindus. The British were under obligation by treaty of 1949 and earlier, after the Anglo-Sikh Wars, 1849, after the Sikh Wars, to re-establish Sikh sovereignty. Sikh sovereignty was never annulled. It was never abrogated. It was suspended. In 1857, the British government abrogated the Mughal Empire, the Muslim Empire, which means it was dead and gone, but not the Sikh sovereign principle, which was only suspended, and anything that is suspended can be recreated once again. And it was the duty of the Attlee government in 1947 to give us a piece of the cake while abrogating Muslim sovereignty. They created a Muslim state in the subcontinent, and the Hindus, who had never had a state in history, they were given the plum state of India. Coming to buildings, Sikh memorials, I think we Sikhs have an equal right to a patch of land in London, in the Indian High Commission. If you honorable members would try to get us that piece of cake in the Indian High Commission, they owe it to us, and so does the British people. Talking about women emancipation, I think the Sikhs emancipated the women in 1925 when the Shromani Gurdwara Act was passed. Sikh women were given the right to vote, whereas your women in that area were throwing bombs and fighting with the police, the suffragettes. I think we should, as an example, bring the Sikh women up in future, and the Sikh Gurdwaras should help sponsor Sikhs into national politics of whatever party prevails in the British Isles. Since so many honorable members of parliament are here, I would request them that if the Secretary of State, Belfer, could pass the Belfer Declaration for the Jews, homeland for the Jews in Palestine, we would all be very grateful to you, sirs, madams, if you could take up the cue from there and pass a declaration in the British Parliament for a Sikh state, just like the Belfer Declaration in the 1920s after the First World War. I do not know what hesitation the French have in giving us the right to wear our turban. The Sikh soldiers in the First and Second World Wars, with the help of the Allies, they liberated France from the clutches of the Germans twice. And if you see the pictures of Sikhs marching through the Champs-Élysées after the war, you will find many French women breaking their ranks and kissing the Sikh soldiers on their cheeks. Though, miss, it's very difficult to find a cheek of a Sikh to kiss. But they did it. So I think the French have to be goaded, and we can't achieve very much in the Punjab or in India, but our party has said that if the French do not honor our turban, then India should not buy the Rafale aircraft, the fighter aircraft. We would rather that India buy some other submarines and fighter jets from the continent or from the Americas. Now the question is that the press in India, it's not free. It's Hindu dominated, and Sikhs in the English papers are referred to as terrorists, extremists, hardliners, and radicals. The unfortunate analysis of this terminology is that the Americans and the Canadians pick out one of the terms from terrorists, extremists, hardliners, radicals, and they think that we belong to the terrorist groups, and they deny us our visas on this very strength. I'm happy that the British government doesn't follow that precedent, as a result of which I'm here to talk to you, honorable gentlemen and women, ladies. About Kamagata Maru and Jallianwala Bagh, I'm very clear that no apology should be given till the Indian government apologizes for Operation Blue Star and the genocide of the Sikhs. I remember when your Prime Minister was in Amritsar, the Hindu lobby asked him to apologize about Jallianwala Bagh, but why not about asking him about the Indian Prime Minister and Parliament apologizing for Operation Blue Star? After all, it amounts to the same thing, and I would ask you members of parliament to insist that India apologize to the Sikh nation for Operation Blue Star before the British Parliament apologizes for any of these misdeeds, or the Canadian Parliament, Mr. Trudeau, tomorrow apologizes to the House. Charity begins at home, and I very much would appreciate that if India leads in these apologies, it would win the love internationally of all people. If there is a statue of Gandhi in your premises who kicked the British out of India, then I think there should be a larger scope for a Sikh memorial who have supported the Sikhs, the British, and the Allies in the First and Second World Wars. But the welfare resolution, sir, is very, very important to give back to us the dignity and the historical deeds we've done for you in your conquests in Europe, Africa, Afghanistan. Nobody has stayed in Afghanistan for longer than 6 or a year. Neither the Russians, neither the British, neither the Americans. But it is the Sikhs who established order and law in that region in the 18th, 19th century. So, if we've given you so much, we would like you to give us a welfare declaration which sort of helps us to redraw the boundaries of India, and we would be happy with a buffer state between Islamic Pakistan, Hindu India, and Communist China, who are perpetually at one another's throats. And if a nuclear war comes about in the subcontinent, the Sikh population would be totally annihilated and finished. It would be a good buffer state which would perpetually give peace to South Asia. Thank you very much, sir.